Hello, philosophers. In this video, the famous book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, is summarized chapter by chapter. Basically, this book is about the simple but powerful idea that the most successful leaders and organizations don't just sell products. They inspire people by communicating their deeper purpose, like why they do, what they do before explaining how they do it, or what they sell. The book reveals why companies like Apple, Disney, and Martin Luther King's civil rights movement have such loyal followers, because they start with a strong belief that connects emotionally with others. This book is important because it changes how we think about leadership, decision-making, and communication, showing that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Before I start it chapter by chapter, please support me with your likes and subscription. Let's start it from first chapter. Chapter 1. Assume that you know. Simon Sinek begins by explaining how people often make decisions based on assumptions rather than deep understanding. He uses examples from business and history to show that many leaders think they know why certain companies succeed while others fail, but their explanations are usually incomplete. The problem is that we focus too much on what companies do and how they do it, while ignoring the most important question: why they do it. Sinek introduces the concept of the golden circle, a simple but powerful model with 3 layers: why at the center, how in the middle, and what on the outside. Most companies communicate from the outside in, starting with what they sell, but truly inspiring leaders and organizations start with why. This chapter sets the stage for the rest of the book by making readers question whether they truly understand the deeper purpose behind their own actions. The chapter also challenges common business thinking, where success is often measured by short-term results rather than long-term vision. Sinek argues that companies that last, like Apple or Martin Luther King's civil rights movement, succeed because they communicate their why clearly. This creates loyalty and trust, which are far more powerful than just selling a good product. By the end of the chapter, readers are encouraged to rethink how they approach leadership, marketing, and even personal goals. The key takeaway is that knowing why you do something is more important than just knowing how to do it well. Chapter 2. Rewards and Punishments. This chapter examines how most businesses try to motivate people, either through rewards or punishments. Sinek explains that while these methods can work in the short term, they don't create lasting loyalty or inspiration. He gives examples of companies that rely too much on bonuses, discounts, or fear-based management, only to see employees and customers lose interest over time. The problem, Sinek argues, is that carrots and sticks work on the surface level. They influence behavior but don't change beliefs. A company that only offers discounts to attract customers will struggle when a competitor offers a better deal. Similarly, employees who work just for a paycheck won't stay motivated when challenges arise. Instead, Sinek suggests that truly successful organizations inspire action by connecting with people's emotions and values. When people believe in a company's why, they don't just buy a product, they become loyal supporters. Examples like Harley-Davidson and Southwest Airlines show how companies with a strong sense of purpose create passionate followers, not just customers. The chapter ends with a powerful question: are you manipulating people with short-term incentives, or inspiring them with a deeper purpose? The best leaders, Sinek says, don't push people, they attract those who share their beliefs. Chapter 3. The Golden Circle. Here, Sinek dives deeper into his Golden Circle model, explaining how it applies to leadership, communication, and decision-making. Most companies operate from the outside in. They start by describing what they do and sometimes how they do it. But the most influential leaders and brands start with why. Sinek uses Apple as a key example. While most tech companies focus on specs and features, Apple communicates its belief in innovation and creativity first. This emotional connection is why people line up for new iPhones. They're not just buying a product, they're buying into an idea. The chapter also explains the biology behind the golden circle. Our brains have 2 key parts, the neocortex and the limbic system, which controls emotions and decision-making. When companies start with why, they speak directly to the part of the brain that drives action. This is why mission-driven organizations, like nonprofits or social movements, often inspire deeper commitment than profit-focused businesses. By the end, readers understand that the golden circle isn't just a communication tool, It's a way to build trust, loyalty, and lasting success. Chapter 4. This is not opinion, this is biology. Sinek takes a scientific approach in this chapter, explaining how human brain chemistry affects decision-making. He describes how the limbic system, the part of the brain responsible for feelings like trust and loyalty, doesn't process language but responds to emotions and gut instincts. This is why people often struggle to explain why they prefer certain brands. They just feel right. The chapter contrasts this with the neocortex, which handles rational thought and language. Most businesses market using facts and figures, but buying decisions are often emotional, limbic system. This mismatch explains why some companies struggle to connect with customers despite having great products. Sinek also discusses how trust is built when actions align with words. If a company says it cares about sustainability but cuts corners on environmental standards, people instinctively distrust it, even if they can't explain why. This biological need for consistency is why authenticity matters so much in leadership. The key lesson is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And because the limbic system controls behavior, inspiring loyalty requires speaking to emotions, not just logic. Chapter 5. Clarity, Discipline, and Consistency. Now that readers understand why the golden circle works, Sinek explains how to apply it. He introduces 3 key traits of successful leaders and organizations: clarity, knowing your why; discipline, staying true to it; and consistency, acting on it every day. Clarity means having a clear purpose beyond making money. For example, Disney's why is to create happiness, which guides everything from theme parks to movies. Discipline means resisting shortcuts, like compromising quality for profit, that might dilute the mission. Consistency means ensuring every employee, product, and customer experience reflects the why. Sinek warns that without these 3 traits, companies lose their way. He points to failed brands that drifted from their original purpose, trying to please everyone instead of staying true to their core believers. The chapter ends with practical advice. Write down your why, share it with your team, and make sure every decision aligns with it. This focus is what separates lasting companies from those that fade away. Chapter 6. The Emergence of Trust. This chapter explains how trust forms naturally when an organization's actions match its stated purpose. Sinek describes trust as a biological reaction. When we observe consistent behavior that aligns with a clear why, our brain releases oxytocin, the chemical responsible for feelings of safety and connection. He contrasts this with companies that say one thing but do another, creating suspicion even when they offer good products. A powerful example compares 2 airlines, one that prioritizes safety in its messaging but cuts corners on maintenance, and another that demonstrates its commitment to safety through consistent actions. Over time, customers instinctively trust the authentic company more, even if they can't explain why. Chapter 7. How a Tipping Point Tips. Sinek examines why some ideas spread like wildfire while others fail, using the framework of the golden circle. He introduces the law of diffusion of innovation, showing how movements gain momentum when they first attract true believers who share the why, not just people who want the product. The Wright brothers succeeded in aviation where better-funded competitors failed because they inspired a small group of passionate supporters who believed in their vision of changing transportation. This chapter teaches that mass-market success comes after first convincing the innovators and early adopters who care about your purpose, not through expensive advertising to the skeptical majority. Chapter 8. Start with why but know how. While emphasizing the power of purpose, Sinek acknowledges that why alone isn't enough. You need competent people who know how to bring the vision to life. He shares the story of Walt Disney's struggle to find animators who could technically execute his creative vision for Snow White. This chapter introduces the concept of the why needing to partner with how. The warning here is that without the right how, even the most inspiring why remains just an idea. Chapter 9. Know why. Know how. Then what? The final chapter ties everything together into practical steps. Sinek explains that while why provides direction and how represents your unique strengths, what are the tangible products, services, or actions that result? He uses the example of Apple again. Their why stays constant while their what evolves with technology. The key insight is that when market conditions change, companies anchored in a strong why can adapt their what without losing their identity. Readers learn to apply this by first defining their personal or organizational why, then developing the how, and finally deciding the what. Chapter 10. Communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. In this chapter, Sinek flips the script on traditional communication advice. He argues that great leaders don't just broadcast their why, they listen to understand what their audience truly cares about. Using the civil rights movement as an example, he shows how Martin Luther King's message resonated because it connected with people's existing hopes for equality. The chapter provides techniques for authentic communication, asking open-ended questions, observing nonverbal cues, and adapting your message without compromising your core beliefs. The takeaway is that inspiration happens when your why overlaps with what others already believe. Sinek concludes by expanding the concept of why beyond business into a life philosophy. He introduces the idea of the infinite game, viewing success not as beating competitors, but as fulfilling an ongoing purpose. Companies with strong whys like Patagonia or Tesla play this infinite game, focusing on environmental impact rather than quarterly profits. For individuals, this means building careers and lives around meaningful contributions rather than short-term gains. The book ends by challenging readers to discover their personal why, the belief that will guide their decisions and inspire others for years to come. I hope you have enjoyed this book, but please support me with your likes and subscriptions. Thank you.